All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Talking Nerdy podcast. My name is Travis.
And I'm Abby.
We are going to be talking to you guys about the Saw franchise.
Ooh, yes.
So, this franchise started a very long time ago now. It's been well over a decade. And it kind of introduced a new genre of film, I would argue, to the horror, or I should say a subgenre introduced to the horror genre.
Yeah, definitely.
Which is, a lot of people call it torture porn,
Ooh, yeah.
for lack of a better term. And I think that's a fairly astute description. But we have 8 Saw films in the franchise up to this point, with the last one that came out just this last year, called Jigsaw.
Yeah.
And we have news of a 9th Saw film slotted for next year.
Nothing's been officially, formally announced about whether or not it's going to be released, but everyone's low-key saying it's a thing.
Yeah,
And
especially with the way the Jigsaw ended.
Yeah, exactly.
Definitely on a cliff
So
note.
the year 2019 has been
cliffhanger.
tossed around for the for the predicted date of release, but of course nothing official.
Yeah.
But
So,
I think it's pretty safe to bet.
yeah, so we spent the last couple of weeks in my household watching through this entire series. So let's go ahead and just talk about, first off, our favorite Saw films. Which would you say is your favorite?
Okay, it's so hard because there's so many different ways you can choose a favorite. You can say which one did you personally just which one did just was your best time watching, or
Yeah.
which one do you admire specifically for how well it was thought out.
Mhm.
Because that's the thing about these movies, they're so it almost feels like they were filmed consecutively.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
were so well planned.
Every movie picks up right where the last one left off.
Yeah, exactly. So there's not a lot of room for but what about this storyline or anything like that.
Mhm.
So it's that aside, which one did I personally just like a lot? Honestly, the biggest argument that horror movies in general get is that the longer you draw out a series, the quality, they just decrease.
Yeah, yeah. They always say
yeah.
the sequel's never better than the original.
Yeah. And so I feel you could say that about the Saw movies, but I don't think so.
Mhm.
If I'm being totally honest, I think that while they kind of got cheesier, they really were pretty consistent, and
Mhm.
the 5th movie is pretty far in the series, but honestly I think it was my favorite.
I agree with that. I think that for me it's a very, very close toss-up between the 4th and the 5th movie.
Mhm.
They both are kind of where the series crescendos, and you get kind of those big climactic moments where John Kramer's dead and you've got his assistants that are taking over.
Yeah.
So
It's just something that people also argue about the movies is they're I can't even remember which one is which. They all have so much in common because half of each movie's runtime is flashback.
yeah.
So the 5th one, that's the one where there is a trap that starts with 5 people in a room,
Mhm.
and they have these chains attached to their necks that will eventually pull them back into a decapitating blade.
Yeah, yeah.
So, that's...
It's almost like a reverse guillotine.
Yes,
Instead of dropping the blade on their head,
They get
it pulls
brought.
them into the blade.
Yes. So I think just that the way the movie pans out, these movies are so interesting because they make you think you don't want to follow or you want to follow your instincts, but this movie it tells you not to, and it elaborates on that, and it forces you to think like the killer,
Yeah.
which is basically what every movie does, but I love the way this movie did it.
Mm-hmm.
So I really love the 5th one.
It's good stuff.
Yeah, and it was satisfying seeing spoiler alert, seeing the people live at the end.
Yeah.
So
By
yeah.
the way, now that we're
Yeah.
already this far into the discussion, there's going to be a lot of spoilers in this.
Yeah.
So if you haven't seen any of the Saw films, you may want to just skip this episode. Sorry.
They're a good time. You can find them at any
Oh,
FYE
yeah.
or Target.
Oh, yeah. Or,
They're
you know,
cheap.
there are ways for
The
people
internet.
to obtain films without spending money nowadays. Borrowing from a friend
Of course.
being what I'm referring to.
Right.
But so, I would...
Spoiler alert.
So, because there's so many of them, I get the mix up. I know that as we were watching them, we watched the 4th and the 5th one the same day, and I loved them both, and I was like, these are my favorites.
Yeah.
The 4th one is the one that ends with Hoffman in the bear trap, correct?
No.
Or is that's the 5th one?
Yes.
The 4th one is...
The 4th one is the one where there's the detective who's being tested, and he's being taught to ignore. He's been a bad cop.
Yes.
That is the one where it ends with the guy's head being crushed by ice blocks.
Yeah, the one with the sun.
Oh, that one. No.
Yeah, that was when where someone was in the safe where the detective
No,
was tested.
that's the second one.
Oh my god.
So many detectives are being tested.
Okay, hang on. All right, yeah, there's a lot of detectives.
Yeah, they're
in here.
very hard to tell apart.
The second one.
Eric Matthews is the detective who tries to find his son, and at the end of the second movie, it was revealed that his son was locked in a safe with a gas mask.
Right.
Eric Matthews is the detective whose head gets crushed by ice blocks.
Amanda was in the group in the second
Yes.
one. Okay, so yeah,
Yes.
I'm getting my movies mixed up. Maybe the fourth one isn't one of my favorites. It's probably just the fifth one I'm thinking of now.
Yeah.
Okay, so then Saw 3 is
Saw 3.
that's where
yeah.
the guy's wife is
Yes.
taken hostage, and she has to
Dr.
perform.
Lynn, yes.
Yeah, and she has to perform the surgery
Yes.
on Jigsaw, John Kramer.
Which a lot of people argue is a really disturbingly, overly crude scene, but like, as someone who loves medicine and like operations, it was really satisfying.
I mean, it's interesting because it's like this whole series, its appeal. Well, the whole series' appeal is that you're watching people get mutilated and ripped open the
Yeah,
entire time.
yeah.
So, and it's usually very quick.
Yeah.
They don't really draw out the deaths too much because it's a lot.
Yeah.
But the whole sequence of him being operated on is very much drawn out.
It's
They
slow
take a
on
lot of time to
purpose.
show the skin being cut open, peeled back, the skull being cut into, then like pulled off.
And then seeing like blood splash and like
Yeah,
face.
yeah. There's a lot of just kind of grotesque appeal for
they play it
this
up a lot.
franchise.
They milk it.
Okay, so I guess we're just going down the whole line now.
Yeah.
Um,
So the second one ends in the safe, the Eric Matthews' son being safe.
yeah.
And then the third one is Dr. Lynn performing the operation, and her husband is being tested because they both lost a child
Yeah.
getting hit by a driver.
Mm-hmm.
And then
And they have a strained relationship.
yes. And then the fourth one, oh my gosh, I don't even remember the fourth one.
I'm really confused now. Is it the fourth one with the ice blocks?
Yes.
Or does I
Because the fourth one reveals that it was occurring simultaneously with the third one, and
Yeah,
it ends with Hoffman
okay.
getting the tape from the autopsy.
You're correct. You're
So,
correct because they pull it out of Jigsaw's
yeah,
stomach.
like the wax
It's
covered
like, you
tape.
will not go untested.
And it was what was the other detective's name? There was Hoffman, and then there was the guy who had to stab. He had to stab his throat open.
Yeah,
with the
that's how
water
Saw
trap.
5 opens.
Yes.
Correct?
Oh my gosh, I can't even remember.
Because, oh man, we're really mixed up. Then I'm just gonna say Saw 5 is my favorite. That is the
Yes.
one that ends with Hoffman's head in the bear trap.
Yeah, I think so.
Because Saw 6 opens up with him, or am I getting those mixed up now? We just watched these movies
Let's
like
not
days
put a
ago.
number on any of the movies.
Okay,
Let's just describe
I like the
plot.
one
Yeah.
where Hoffman gets his head stuck in the bear trap and he kind of escapes it by sticking the jaws through bars in a window.
Yes.
And he still like rips open the side of his face, pulling
Yes.
himself out of it.
And then he goes and he tries to kill Jill Tuck.
Yes.
He has to hunt her down, and she's in protective services, but it's like not even legitimate protective services because she's just in a house in the same town.
Yeah.
But that was fun.
My favorite moment in that entire movie is when Hoffman gets into the safe house at the end, kills the chick, and like holds her head up to the door and like nods at the guard inside with it,
Oh
so
my
he thinks
God.
like she's coming in.
I forgot that happened.
Oh my
That's
god! And then he
hilarious.
just like tosses her aside and shoots the dude in the face.
Yeah, it was. Oh gosh, these movies, they're so satisfying because they make you hate the so-called protagonists, so when you know they're gonna die, it's a relief.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's just, it's like, you don't want anybody to actually live.
Okay, so real quick, we had talked before this about choosing our favorite traps.
Yes.
What is your favorite trap? Do you have one? Or like your top 3?
Oh gosh, it's so hard to say, because by favorite, do you
Well, yeah,
mean
I guess the one that you think was either the coolest or like the most cringy,
Yeah.
like, oh my god, no way in hell could I survive this.
Oh
I'd
my-
be freaking out.
Okay, the one in the 7th movie? Yeah, the 7th movie, Saw 3D.
Yeah.
where there's a woman who she has a fishing hook attached to a string,
Ooh.
and it's in her stomach.
Yeah.
And the guy has
And there's
to.
a key on it.
Yeah, there's a key that is like, you know, you need the key to get out of the trap, but in order to tug it up to get the key, it rips her apart because there's a fish hook attached to it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, there's also like there's spikes that are slowly approaching her throat, and anytime
They're
her
connected
voice
to like
a sound monitor, so
Yeah.
anytime the volume rises above a whisper, they inch
a
closer to her.
decibel reader.
Yes.
Yeah.
But after 30 seconds, then they immediately just start going no matter how much noise is being made. So it's like you want to be as quiet as possible. That way you buy yourself time.
Yeah.
But how can you possibly stay quiet when you've got somebody yanking a fish hook out of your esophagus?
Well, there's the one part in that where he's like, all right, just shut up, I'm just gonna do it, and he yanks it real hard, and then you hear like this horrible tearing squelch,
I have to-
and blood just starts coming out of her
Yeah,
mouth.
I am not a squeamish person, but I cannot listen to that.
Yeah.
That is just so creative and gross.
Oh, I'm gonna have to put a trigger warning before this.
Oh yeah.
I just realized we're giving some real brutal descriptions here.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but it's if you like these sort of movies, they're
Mhm.
real good.
Mhm.
It's just ooh. So that one is by far the one that just, oh man, it scares me. That scares me.
Yeah.
But then, oh gosh, also there was, from the very first movie, they briefly show it. There's a guy in a room covered in glass, and he's wearing this flammable jelly-like fluid, and he's holding a tiny little candle, and he was injected with poison. And so the antidote to the poison is in a small safe, and on the walls of the room are hundreds and hundreds of numbers, and the code to the safe is hidden within the numbers, so he has to walk around the room across shards of glass while being coated in a flammable substance. His only source of light is this like 2-inch candle,
Yeah.
so it's slowly burning down. And that just scares me because, as simple as it is, it's almost impossible. It's like, it's genuinely impossible. It's not just testing your
Yeah.
will to survive. That's not even the thing. It's just, how could you possibly test that many numbers in that amount of time?
Well, I didn't think about this until fairly recently, because like obviously that one was earlier in the franchise.
Yeah.
But I have a feeling that if we go back and we look at the numbers, it's probably like the same 4 numbers repeated in different orders. So I think it's
yeah.
probably a
Yeah.
situation where all he had to do was decipher what the 4 numbers are and then use them the most frequently or something
Yeah.
like that.
But
There's
does
like-
that mean it was a 4-digit code, or was it an 8-digit code?
I'm pretty sure it was a 4-digit code.
Aren't all safes 4 digits?
Most of them are.
Okay, so yeah, that's good to know.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know that. I'd be in trouble.
I think, okay, so I will say that I have a very furtive love for the reverse bear trap. I think it's very clever.
Mm-hmm.
It's the original trap,
Yeah.
you know, and it's been so iconic. It's made its
Yeah.
appearance multiple times. It's had a couple different incarnations. I really like that one.
It's so brutal.
It
It really
is.
is. And
It
it's like
is.
it still allows the wearer so much mobility.
Yeah.
It doesn't really leave you trapped, but
Mhm.
obviously you're gonna die in 30 seconds.
Mhm.
So it's like
Yeah.
it's so terrifying.
Um
That was real quick.
Excuse
That
me.
was one of my biggest issues with the first movie. Is Amanda was the original person to be trapped in the reverse bear trap. The only thing she had to do was cut a key out of what she assumed and was told was a dead body.
yeah.
It's like, okay, yeah, that's a terrifying thing, but I mean, in comparison to what other people have had to do, like you've got Dr. Lawrence being forced to kill a man who he doesn't know and cut off his own foot, and all she has to do is cut open what she thinks is a cadaver.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's just so, that's like nothing.
Yeah.
And that always bothered me a little bit. Like, I wish he had told her that it was a living person.
Yeah.
Because that would have made it
Well,
enough.
It would have made it more interesting for sure, because
Yeah.
then it's like she has to make the choice to actively kill this
Yeah.
person to save herself. Well, and I mean, there's no guarantee that she even was going to kill him.
Yeah.
We don't know. It could
No.
have been a very superficially planted key.
It was
we
in
just-
his, it was in his small intestine.
Oh, it was in his intestine.
Yes, it was in
Okay,
his small
okay.
intestine. We see her looping it around in her hand.
Good lord.
Or actually, I can't remember. We see her rip them out, but I
Yeah,
don't actually
yeah.
remember if she has to cut them open to get it. But either way, she goes to town.
Mm.
So,
But so, I mean, I think the reverse bear trap is probably my favorite.
yeah.
But at the same time, I also really love the whole concept from, oh god, and again, can't remember which one it was. I think it was Saw 3D final chapter with
Mhm.
the racists.
Oh,
where the dude gets
yes,
okay.
the
So
giant car trap.
giant car trap. There, this
Yes.
dude is like a super racist skinhead,
And so are all his friends.
and all of his like cronies are there in positions where he's glued. His bare
Ooh.
skin is glued to a leather seat in an old muscle car, and attached to the engine is a wrench. And what he has to do is like rip his back off essentially, so he can lean forward, pull the brake in the car. Because he's got a chick who's underneath one of the tires who's going to get like her face shredded off by it.
Yeah.
He has one guy who has a chain hooked through his lower jaw behind it, and then there's another dude dead ahead of him who's like
He would get impaled by the car.
he would have gotten impaled by the car. He's like straight ahead. And just that whole sequence is so intense, and like you can feel it because it's like we've all had bad sunburns on our back at some point. So like
Yeah.
it's imagining that, but on a whole other scale. And then at the same time realizing not only are you going to put yourself through excruciating pain, but it's like if you don't do this, then all your closest friends are going to die.
Yeah.
Granted, they were all super racist and deserved it.
Again, that's
So-
the thing. You don't even feel bad when they get it. You're
Yeah.
just because they all deserve it. And it's just like,
yeah.
oh, but I love traps that like once you see the first domino fall, you can't stop anything else that happens after the
Yeah.
chain reaction. That is so stressful and
So
satisfying.
okay, and this is what reminds me which one Saw 5 is, because 5 was like a recurring theme in it.
Yes.
There's 5 traps that 5 people are supposed to go through, and that was
Yes.
why it was my favorite. Also because that was the first Saw movie I ever watched.
Oh yeah, it's a good
um,
one. Yeah, it was definitely a
The
good one.
first Saw I ever did see,
Yeah.
if you will. But okay, so real quick, I think you and I both agree on what the worst one is. The worst Saw film. I think it's Jigsaw.
Oh gosh, yeah. I don't even consider that a
Okay.
Saw film. I'm
Yeah,
like,
okay.
what do you mean? Which one
So,
of the?
and we'll dig
Oh
into
my
that in a minute.
gosh.
But after watching Jigsaw, the thing that struck me the most, and it's even fairly present in like Saw the Final Chapter, and
Uh-huh.
it kind of is beginning its decline in Saw 6.
Mhm.
But the traps are often so cleverly done. In
Uh-huh.
particular, the traps where you have multiple people, and it's usually a very clever situation where it's like
Yeah,
there's always a very obvious way to get out of these traps
and it just
if you worked together.
yeah.
But it's like these people get into these situations, they panic, they take each other out, get to the final trap, and realize, oh, this was designed so that if we worked together, we could all get out.
He had said the answer all along. I just wasn't listening.
Yeah, like he
Yeah.
literally, and that's the thing.
Like that's
it's-
that's the big thing in Saw 2.
Yeah.
He literally told the detective, if you want to find your son, talk to me for 2 hours and you will find him in a safe place.
yeah.
He literally told him word for word what he had to do.
He was in a safe
Huh?
place.
It's a safe.
It's a safe that was right next to them the whole time.
Yeah, it's
Um,
it's stuff like that where it's just
yeah.
oh gosh.
Just there was so much emphasis on you have to follow the rules.
yeah.
And throughout the early stages of the franchise, they reinforce that. Everyone is constantly saying, you have to follow the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Here comes Jigsaw. And these games were... It's
It's like
the rules either don't make sense or they're irrelevant.
yeah, it's like they tried to make that a central focus, which you have to follow the rules. There was one trap that literally only existed because somebody chose not to follow the rules.
Yeah.
And it's just like it didn't make sense. It's like it was supposed to instill the fear that, oh, even if you're clever enough to outwit him, it won't work because he thought that far ahead.
Yeah.
That's what was supposed to be achieved, but instead it just raised more questions. Like
Yeah.
specifically what can I just say the trap?
Yeah.
Yeah. They're in a barn, and so you can see like there are planks. The walls are thin planks of wood, and on one of the walls it's a door, and it says "not an exit." And so the obvious door that Jigsaw wants them to go through is on the other side of the room. But this guy, he thinks he's clever. He's like, "Oh no, I'm not gonna go through the door he wants us to go through. I'm gonna go through the one that's labeled "not an exit."
It's almost
And
that
I'm
like that comical moment in the It remake where it's like, go through this door. There's nothing scary here. You won't
Yeah.
die.
Yeah, and it's just like, first of all,
It's just it's too cheeky.
but it was already labeled by Jigsaw, so you already know he considered it an option for you to go through. So you're not thinking, oh, I'm gonna go through the option that he doesn't want us to take. That's not what you're doing. You're just choosing the option that he doesn't want you to take, but he's already considered.
Yeah.
So the guy approaches the door, and the planks of wood that he steps on break, and his foot falls through a trap of like razor wire. Not literally.
It was
razor
aircraft
wire.
cable.
Okay, yeah, that's what it was.
But
I
it
didn't
was
even know.
on these tension cranks that
Yeah.
started tightening, so they're like cutting into them. You know,
Yeah.
aircraft cable, that's really strong stuff.
Yeah.
So what ends up happening is like
He has.
there's a grain silo next to them
Yeah.
that's like where the path was leading essentially. And here's the other trick: that grain silo trap was set up so that if they went in there, they could. Basically, that trap only works if he absolutely had gotten his leg trapped,
Exactly.
or if someone had gotten their leg
Yeah.
trapped. You know, like
So
these traps were so hyper dependent on people screwing up for
Yeah.
every single one.
There was only the only way to get out was to break the rules, essentially, which doesn't make any sense about what Jigsaw is trying to teach them. Because that's the
Yeah.
whole thing. He's trying to teach them something. He's
Yeah.
not trying to punish them. He's trying
Well,
to cure them.
Yeah,
of
yeah,
their horrible ways.
and that's something that after watching the movie I really was upset about, because like John Kramer, his whole motive through this is because he was put in a position where he's got cancer, none of the treatments are working. The one experimental treatment he wants to try and do, his insurance does not allow him to do. They don't cover him for it. And he gets in a car wreck where he's faced immediately with his own mortality. He's got a steel like rebar through him.
That was the 6th movie. I just remember. That was the 6th movie. The one with the insurance agent.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I just remember.
Um,
But, yeah.
but so he, in this moment where he's got a giant blade through himself, similar to what happens to other people,
Yeah.
he pulls it out and he realizes that he's come to appreciate the life that he has and the time that he has left because he was able to face death and overcome it in that moment.
Mm-hmm.
And he develops this theory because even before all this happened, like his wife worked at a last chance clinic for people with low income, things like that, where they were trying to save people.
And that's when he discovers the whole you cannot save people, they have to save themselves.
Exactly, because his wife she's pregnant and gets attacked and
She loses the baby.
by this guy who she'd been helping at the clinic, but he basically it was an accident, but he ended up killing the baby trying to break into the clinic when she was closing it up so that he could get his hands on drugs. But it boils down to, as sick as the guy is, he has a theory, it's been proven, and he's trying to carry it out, that if you take these horrible people, put them in a situation that they have control over, if they take control into their own hands, they can save their own lives, they can heal themselves, they can be rehabilitated.
Yeah. Live or die, the choice is yours.
Yeah,
in this
like
situation.
literally, and he says that in every single movie, except for Jigsaw, by the way.
He also doesn't say game over.
Yeah, they didn't do the whole climactic game over and close the door.
He closed the door, but there was no game over.
Yeah.
So it was.
So
yeah, they changed Jigsaw how we knew him.
yeah,
And
they like
despite-
rewrote his history.
Oh gosh.
Granted, what we find out is that the trap that's playing out during the Jigsaw film,
Yeah.
it's a prequel essentially.
Yeah.
The trap that
It
it's
happened
like
10
a
years
half
ago.
prequel, half sequel, where the trap that they're showing is one that he had done to people before everybody else. We see traps that he had devised before any other one, which also I did not like because it's a very shiny, chrome, clean kind of trap situation.
It makes no sense.
As opposed to the dank, dirty, moldy, rusty traps that we see in the
Yeah.
entire rest of the franchise,
Yeah.
which add to that horror element and makes it just that much more cringeworthy. Like,
And it raised just so many questions. Like, this was supposed to be a prequel that shed light. That's how it was advertised originally. It
Yeah.
was supposed to be the backstory. That's why it's called Jigsaw and not Saw, because it was supposed to focus on Jigsaw,
Mhm.
John Kramer, and his backstory. Like, make you sympathize a little more with him. And they didn't explain anything about his backstory other than the fact that he had a neighbor at some point.
while he was in chemotherapy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's just that just
There-
didn't shed any light.
Literally the only thing this explained, and granted even this is kind of hard to believe, is why he chose the pig mask, the iconography of a pig.
What do you mean?
That building was an old pig farm
Oh, yeah.
Remember?
But see, then in
that got closed down because the pigs got sick.
yeah, but then in like what was it, like the 4th Saw movie? They show it's like Chinese New Year, Year of the Pig.
Yeah.
And that's why he chose the pig mask, because they had them there at the parade that he was at when
Yeah,
when he
yeah.
kidnapped
When
Cecil.
when he was following the guy who killed his baby.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's just
Um.
yeah.
So yeah, Jigsaw is a garbage movie. Don't waste your time. Watch the other ones; they're
No.
great, but Jigsaw is really not. which leads us to kind of our final topic of discussion, is that Jigsaw ends on a note that implies there's going to be a sequel.
Yes. We see the
Um,
person who was carrying out the traps. We
Yes.
see him close the door in the very...
And he's like, I speak for the dead, you know.
I was like, okay. Yeah.
So he's like, Jigsaw's legacy lives on in those who believed in his work, or something like that. So
Yeah, and that again is just changing the whole motive of
Yeah,
the movies.
yeah.
I speak for the dead. This whole thing was never supposed to be about getting revenge or righting wrongs.
yeah.
Even if it did achieve that, that was never the purpose for it. So in the next Saw movie, like, I'm assuming we're gonna see this guy again.
Yeah.
And I mean, as much as I hated this movie, but I still hope that the next movie will somehow salvage the franchise.
Absolutely. And speaking of salvaging the franchise, something they need to return to that worked, and it's the thing that attracts so much of their audience base, is they need to go back to the practical trap effects. We need
Yeah.
to see silicone and corn syrup, blood and guts everywhere.
Yeah.
As opposed to CG guy getting his head sliced open with laser beams. Like,
Yeah.
there was... It's like they took every element of the original Saw films that we loved and attracted us to it and said, yeah, well, we have new technology, so let's try to do something different with it.
It's like they're leaving it to the imagination can do wonders. If you like, sometimes it's better left not showing it.
This is not the case.
But I mean, like, if you're like, I would have rather done that than the cheesy CG. Or obviously, I want the
Well-
original special effects, but I would rather them not show anything.
Well, then I guess maybe that's what my issue is the grotesque scenes of death that we do get
Yeah.
are CG deaths.
Yeah, and that's a problem for me.
And there was too many traps that ended with people getting killed that they literally don't see them. You
Yeah.
follow the survivors into the next room and hear a scream in the back room. It's like, okay, that's never been done before, and this is a bad move. I got very frustrated. Jigsaw's, it's not a good movie.
No, it's not.
But there is a new one coming out, which actually tried Googling it before this, and I can't find any information on it.
The only thing I saw was one article in which they said, we feel very confident that it's coming out, and blah, blah, blah. And I believe it.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it could definitely not happen, but I would hope it would.
With the amount of effort it looked like Jigsaw took, they're probably able to rake in a bit of cash and not spend too much. 'Cause,
Yeah.
like,
I mean, when did Saw 7 come out? I mean, that was forever ago. So,
that's a good question.
probably like 2009?
Saw 7, that's Final Chapter, correct? The 3D one?
Yeah.
That came out, I was living in Monterey, so that was either 2014 or 2015.
Oh, wow, okay. I'm like,
That one was still relatively recent.
but,
Because I'm trying to think. Actually, you know what? No. That movie had to have come out further back than that.
I was going to say, where
I
was
remember seeing trailers for it on TV. But, like, since I moved to Monterey, I didn't... Like, I stopped watching regular TV, so I didn't see any commercials for anything. I was always watching Netflix. Are you Googling it right now?
Okay, yeah, 2010.
Oh, it's that far back?
Yeah, yeah.
My God.
Yeah, I mean, the first one came out in 2004, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
2003, 2004.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that was way further back than I
Yeah,
remember.
so the fact that they released the sequel 7 years later,
Yeah.
I mean, that must have taken so much hype. That probably
Yeah.
got them a lot of money just from people wanting to go see, oh, they revived this dead franchise.
And you know, it's
They'll
really
probably
funny because,
take the
like,
next step.
I don't know if it was just a result of makeup or what the deal was, but, like, Tobin Bell does not look like he's aged a day.
I didn't even think of that. You are
He
so right.
actually looked younger
I totally
as
forgot.
Jigsaw, which
Makes
would make
sense,
sense
'cause
because
it's
they
the-
show
yeah,
him
yeah.
before cancer treatments and
He
all
had
that.
that little
He has a
soul
little,
patch.
yeah, his
the
little soul patch.
Which is kind of funny because part of the one thing that I actually did kind of, if I had to say there was one thing I liked about Jigsaw, is the fact that they were like, oh, is he dead or isn't he? The fact that I actually thought for a second maybe he wasn't dead.
I will say that's the only way that Jigsaw was successful in what they
Yeah.
tried to do, and that they did leave us questioning up to the very end.
They
Is
were
Jigsaw
pretty.
still alive?
That was a pretty interesting little thing that they had. But that little soul patch, whatever you want to call it, they show him having that when he's training his other things. So that was kind of a nod. If you're super familiar
Yeah.
with the facial hair of John Kramer, that would
For
be
sure.
a little telltale. What
Yeah,
year it's
because
from.
like I think I don't remember him having it in any of the other movies except for Saw 1.
Yeah.
Like as far as like looking back, because Saw 1 at the very end of the movie when he goes and rips off the bullet shot
Yeah.
makeup, he's bald, but he has his little soul patch
Yeah.
still.
There was another, I think it might have been Saw 3, they show a flashback of him training Hoffman. And He has it.
Yeah.
So it's like, it makes you think, okay, yeah. But yeah, speaking of Hoffman, we still don't know what happened to him when he gets locked in the room at the very end of Saw 3D. Dr. Lawrence locks him in the room, and we're gonna assume he's dead.
Yeah.
But he's a character who, I mean, he escaped the reverse bear trap, so who
That's
knows what
true.
he's
He's
capable of.
resourceful. I think,
Yeah.
honestly,
He would cut off his own foot.
I think that would probably be. Well, he also didn't have the hacksaw. Remember?
No, but he's resourceful.
Gordon kicked it away. Yeah, that's true.
He can do anything. Break his leg, rip it off.
That's true. People have done worse in these movies. They're horrible.
Yeah, so
That would be the saving grace for Saw 9.
yeah, that's what I
Bring
think is
back
gonna happen
Hoffman.
because we don't know.
Bring
what
back
happened.
Dr. Gordon. Can you imagine if it's the story of Hoffman coming back and getting revenge on Gordon?
I mean, that's what
So
Saw
Gordon ends up
7
in them
was.
again?
And he did like him getting revenge on Jill Tuck, so I'd love to see him get revenge on Gordon.
Yeah, but and I see it's difficult because even the whole Jill Tuck thing, that was under Jigsaw's orders.
True.
Like, but granted, she carried them out, but he held her way too accountable for all that.
I think he wasn't thinking. He was like, oh, somebody tried to challenge me, so I'm gonna teach them.
Yeah.
And because he was.
But I guess, excuse me, it is very much a kill or be killed situation. So
Oh, of course.
he didn't really have any options.
Yeah, that's which is so funny because that's kind of like the instinctual thing that Jigsaw is telling people to ignore, the kill or be killed thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so funny because like even in Saw 3, when the guy's trying to like he's given the opportunity to save these people or hold them accountable and let them die.
Yeah.
Just like the people who like responsible for his son's death almost. And it's just like throughout all these traps and all these movies, people are being told not to let innocent people die. So it's so interesting seeing Hoffman let so many innocent people die.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, and that's a big thing. Is Jigsaw says repeatedly, "I abhor killers. I hate them. They're disgusting."
Yep.
Because he's quote unquote never killed anybody.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean,
He's just
doesn't mean he's not responsible, but hey.
yeah.
We all get it.
There's
Yeah.
so many layers to the older films, and they're so wonderful in their own way. So I guess in closing, I have to ask, are you excited for another Saw movie?
I love these movies. As much as I hated Jigsaw, I would watch another one in a heartbeat just to see what they do.
Would you want to see it in the theater, or would you wait for it to come out on Redbox?
Oh, no, I would see it in theaters, absolutely. Just because, I mean, I saw Jigsaw in theaters like a week after it came out just because I was lazy to get into the theater.
Yeah.
But that's something that you should experience in the theater just because it's like... The way that these films are filmed with the lighting and everything,
Yeah.
it's so much more satisfying to see that in a pitch dark room.
Understandable.
But then again, Jigsaw disappointed
Yeah,
me.
Jigsaw's entire everything about Jigsaw was just done differently.
Gosh.
The cinematography, the editing, the music.
Oh my gosh, yeah. That's the thing.
They did like a really weird reimagining of
Yeah.
the Jigsaw theme, so to speak.
Yeah.
The main Saw theme.
It's like the thing that... Oh gosh, sorry. All the other Saw movies, Saw 1 through 7, they felt... And, like, as I'm watching them, it felt like they were directed and produced all by the same people.
Yeah.
Because they were so similar. And I don't know if they were all directed by the same people, but that's a success.
Yeah, I don't... That's the thing. I don't think they were directed by the same people,
I
but
don't
it's the
think they
same
were either.
production companies. It's
Yeah.
Lionsgate and Twisted Pictures.
Right, and I think it's funny, Hoffman is the name of the character and the name of the big producer who's produced all of these movies, Greg Hoffman, I think. It's like, if you can make all of your movies feel, like, identical...
Yeah.
in the sense of quality, then you've succeeded.
Like, okay, this is actually how I would sum up Jigsaw. Jigsaw is Saw fan fiction by someone who doesn't really know how to write.
Yep.
It's almost like a student film trying to be on the same level as an original masterpiece. It would be like if for my capstone when I graduated from college, if I tried to remake Titanic. It's like, if I get the resources to do it, I can make something that's close, but there's no way I'm going to be able to capture it.
Yeah.
You know?
It's just...
It's going to fall short, and it's going to disappoint, and it's not going to be what people have come to know and love and expect.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And it's just, you just reminded me that classic scene that's in every single Saw movie when somebody is coming to terms with the horror of their trap and the camera pans 360 around them and they're spinning and they're buzzing.
And they like speed it up and cut it close into their face and then out a little wider.
And they're just like thrashing around, they're jerking their head back and forth.
It's such a visceral and uncomfortable image because it almost looks like they're being possessed, you know?
Yes, and it's like, that is something that is very, very identifiable in every single Saw movie. It's just something so iconic.
The iconography of the films.
That is the word. Why wouldn't they have that in this movie?
Because it's garbage!
But also, there wasn't really a trap where that could have been a thing, even. All these traps were so slow, and they just
I guess that's true.
They weren't high tension enough. Which is funny considering, you know, what was the wire called?
The aircraft cable.
High tension. Yeah. But, yeah, no, nobody really panicked. Everybody was just cheesy, but not in the way that they should have been.
Yeah.
And, yeah. But, all in all, it was a horrible movie, but I'll see the 9th movie in a heartbeat.
I will say that as far as having watched the entire franchise, I'm glad I saw it just so that I've seen all 8 films now.
Yeah.
But I'm very disappointed that after 7 other films prior to this is what we got stuck with.
Yeah, like...
What's that? Someone messaged me. Anyways...
I won't be purchasing Jigsaw. I own all the other Saw movies. And
yeah, we have what we need.
Yeah, so...
Let us know... Oh, I'm getting all kinds of messages right now. Let us know in the comments below. What are your guys' thoughts on the franchise? Do you have a favorite film, a favorite trap, least favorite film, least favorite trap? And are you looking forward to the new movie? So until next time, bye-bye.